Hey guys, it's Tristan from www.primaledgehealth.com, and I had a lot of private messages, emails, even like Instagram posts, comments on videos after the horrific earthquake yesterday in the north of Ecuador. As our subscribers and viewers know, we've been living in Ecuador since 2010. We actually live high in the Andes of southern Ecuador, and this area was unaffected by the damage of the earthquake, although everybody felt it here. Everybody seemingly except us. So, yeah, the valley here did shake. Some people had light fixtures swinging in the houses and quite a bit of movement, but here at our house, nobody noticed it. So thank you so much for your concern. A lot of people sent me messages saying that they were sending prayers for our family, and I want to send a shout out to everybody who was so thoughtful and caring, and say thank you for your concern, and give you a little update on what's going on here in Ecuador, what we know so far. Now, although we didn't experience any damage here, it's not something that has not affected us very deeply and profoundly. So, yeah, I'll get into it now. Took some notes here so I could stay focused and in line. Got a few points I want to make. One of the interesting things is that you realize when you start looking at the dissemination of information, of images, of updates on what's going on, that the international media now gets most of its material from social media. So you're seeing a lot of photographs on MSNBC, CNN, um, AP, Reuters, stuff like that. It's very interesting to me how so much of this is being drawn just from social media. So journalism has almost become um, repeating of information disseminated through social media. I'm not critiquing it. It's just an interesting observation of how it goes, because I've seen a lot of photographs from some photographers here in Ecuador from some of the highly damaged areas. For instance, Pedernales, uh, Puerto Viejo, Manta. These areas were heavily affected, and there are confirmed over 300 deaths so far, 2,000 plus people injured, and the death toll is unfortunately going to keep climbing. Um, there are thousands of people missing. There are a lot of people in rubble. The infrastructure was shooken very, very intensely. It was shook to the core up in the north coast here of Ecuador, and there's been a lot of collapses of buildings, small homes whose foundations were weak. I mean, there are cities. You probably most of the images that you've been seeing are from areas like Puerto Viejo, Manta, and Pedernales, but there are smaller towns where it's reported, and this is unconfirmed, but that there's over like 75% destruction in some areas, and some people are saying up to 90% destruction in some towns. So, for the people who sent me messages saying that they were praying for our family, um, for our well-being and our protection, thank you so much. Um, don't forget about these thousands, hundreds of thousands of other individuals in these areas like Kanoa, where there is no access to electricity or water right now. A lot of these coastal towns rely on water being brought from outside. Modern convenience allows us to inhabit areas that are not naturally provided with sources of water. Where we live here in the Andes, we live very close to rivers. We live in an area that's not often affected by volcanic activity and seismic activity like earthquakes, and that is intentional. We did choose this area for a reason, but areas like Kanoa right now, where water needs to be trucked in regularly because they don't have sources of fresh water, they only got ocean water. Areas like this are highly affected. There's no medical care available to a lot of these people. The roads have been destroyed, bridges have collapsed. I mean, we're talking like roads split in half, and certain areas where military assistance, police assistance, medical assistance is not able to reach them. So your prayers, I highly suggest, and I urge you to pray for these individuals, pray for these families that live in these small areas, and it's not just Ecuadorians. There are a lot of expats that live on the coast of Ecuador, people from all over the world. Um, there are lots of different people from different walks of life that are going to be affected by this profoundly. There's been some unconfirmed so far reports through social media from friends of mine, friends of friends, that the smell of corpses in areas like Canoa, I mean, it's terrible, like, to even say this, but the smell is becoming so intense, and it's, there's a lot of bodies trapped in rubble, and many people who might be still alive. There were some images of a young girl that was trapped for over 20 hours being pulled from rubble. Um, Another really famous image by a Ecuadorian photographer of two little boys crying after hearing that their sister had passed away. These are the images that people um, are seeing, but I want to stress and I want to emphasize the fact that these tragedies don't just show us the worst aspects of humanity, they bring out the best in a lot of people. Um, when something horrible happens, it forces us to rise up and to take responsibility, to be in the moment, and to do what must be done. So, yeah, pray for the strength of these individuals, these families that are in these areas that are highly affected, and hopefully they can get the assistance they need. Um, there's 50,000 gallons of water reportedly being sent to Pedernales and Puerto Viejo by the Ecuadorian Navy. There's a lot of international aid and assistance coming. And that brings me to my next point. Charity. So you're going to see a lot of charities popping up, people asking for donations, even in the small town here in Vilcabamba in the Andes of Ecuador. Several hundred kilometers away from the site, there have already been fraudulent people walking around trying to collect money for fake charities. Um, so if you wish to help through monetary assistance to these individuals, I would suggest follow your intuition and do some research as well into the validity, the size, and the ethics of the charities that you're thinking of donating to. Charities that are very large and have a big overhead, it is well known that very little of the money donated to many of these charities actually makes it to the individuals that they say they are looking to aid and help. So I'll put a couple links in the description of this video to some charities that have been vetted and recommended from by people who have done some research and recommend them. I'm not saying that I endorse these specifically because I haven't done a lot of research into this myself, but one of them that seems very legit would be ceibo.org. I think it's .org. I'll put a link below. CEIBO, Ceibo. They're actually apparently on the ground in Ecuador helping people already. I would highly suggest not paying into relief funds that are very big and run by individuals like we saw with the Haiti thing. I don't know if anybody remembers, Haiti was actually leveled by a 7.0 earthquake. This earthquake in Ecuador that we just had now was a 7.8. 1987, in 1987 there was a 7.0 earthquake that killed, I believe, over 1,000 people. And it was centered around the same spot that this one is today. So unfortunately the death toll is highly likely to rise quite a bit. But my point about Haiti and the comparison of what's going on now to that is, I don't know if you guys remember the images of ex-presidents Clinton and Bush going to Haiti, drumming up support for their charities. They ended up raising over $100 million for their respective charities, and very little of that money was ever seen by the Haitian people. And the money that was that did trickle into Haiti was not used for what it was claimed it was supposed to be used for. It was not used for rebuilding infrastructure, bringing fresh water, creating, rebuilding people's homes. It was spent on things like microfinance, giving people loans so they could pay mortgages on purchasing new properties, and a lot of it was actually spent on paying foreigners to work there. Of course, many of these foreigners were probably doing great work, valuable medical work and whatnot. But the point is, have discernment on where you are putting your money when you're putting money into these charities. Um, there are a lot of small charities out there that are doing some good work. I would highly suggest going with a reputable smaller charity with a low overhead. And I'll put some links below of ones that might be better to go with than some of these huge charities that are always sucking up lots of money, and very little of it seems to ever get to where it's supposed to be going, unfortunately. It's a sad but true fact that tragedies bring out both the best and the worst in individuals. So you're going to hear stories about things like, you know, a recent shipment of supplies being sent from, I think it was Ambato through Guayaquil to try to get to some of these areas that was robbed on the road. You'll hear stories like this, but I think it's important that you realize that it brings out also the best in people. People risking their lives to save children who are being crushed under rubble. Um, there's there's a lot going on in Ecuador right now, and it's going to be a long road to recovery for these communities that were affected so profoundly. Um, but they will recover. They will recover. The Ecuadorian people are very resilient. They've been dealing with things like this for a long time. I already mentioned that there was a earthquake in 1987 that was smaller than this one that killed over 1,000 people in the same region. Um, Historically, Ecuador has dealt with earthquakes, volcanoes, floods from El Nino, and this year has been particularly hard on some of these coastal areas. They were hit hard with flooding from El Nino, and then this earthquake is kind of the icing on the cake, and it's very, very. The images that are coming out of the areas are horrific. I mean, we're seeing completely toppled hotels, entire neighborhoods just smashed, and it's not a pretty picture. But Ecuador is a resilient. The Ecuadorians are resilient people. They're beautiful people who will recover from this. And yeah, so if you want to donate, check the links below. I would suggest doing some research into where you're going to be donating. Look where your money is going to be going. Make sure it's organizations that have low overhead, so it actually gets to the people that need it. There's a lot of conflicting reports coming out now from certain areas, but it does look like there is assistance. It's been sent. Mexico, Venezuela, the European Union, Spain, a lot of these countries have sent workers and aid, but unfortunately some of the areas that are affected are very difficult to reach by land right now. So a lot of supplies are having to be shipped in via ocean freight, um, and small boats even, and medical evacuations are difficult. So your prayers, your thoughts, um, your intention are all beneficial in this situation. For those that were praying for our family and that sent me messages, I thank you again, and plead for you to pray for the victims of this horrible event, that the people that are needing help, and pray that they get help and they get the strength and the faith that they need to move through this and to rebuild what was destroyed. Um, this is life. This is the world we live on. We stand on shaky ground. So appreciate what you've got and enjoy the life you've been given, and realize that at any moment things can be really shooken up. So it's very important that we be present, that we be here, that we have our intention clear. Um, like I said, some of these tragedies can bring out the best in people. They put people in the moment, ready to sacrifice their own well-being, um, their time, their energy, their safety to help others. And I think people should focus on that rather than the horrific images of destruction and the stories of some of the negative things that go on. So Ecuador is a resilient place. The people are incredibly resilient. It's a beautiful country, and it will come back from this. It's going to be a long road ahead for some of these areas. These are some of the most beautiful beach areas in the world that were affected. The Manabí province, some of the most incredible areas in the world. So yeah, your fervent prayers, your positive thoughts, your intention being sent to the victims of this tragedy, the families that need help. And if you are going to donate, of course, make sure to do it with discernment and make sure you're doing it through organizations that will actually give this money and give this aid to the people who need it. So that's all. Our family is okay. Thank you so much for your concern. And yeah, uh, don't pray for us. We're fine. Pray for the people of Ecuador, the people of Canoa, of Puerto Viejo, of Pedernales, of Manta. And yeah, I'm sure they'll appreciate it a lot. So I'll see you next time.